A couple of years ago I quit alcohol. And in this video I wanted to share with you some of the associated benefits that come along with that. Better sleep, weight loss, more energy, those sorts of things. And actually how I experienced none of them. A lot of the videos about quitting alcohol always seem to focus about the obvious health benefits. And if you don't really experience those, are there any other benefits? Well, I'd like to share some of the benefits I've noticed, which were a bit more subtle, let's just say. And along with the reasons why I came to the choice to quit in the first place. So why did I quit? Well, basically, for me, I was just bored with it. I got to a certain point, I think around my mid to late 30s, where I felt like I wasn't enjoying drinking, even just one drink. The feeling I would get, some of those slight hangover symptoms would kick in. I'd feel my heart racing, all that kind of thing. And as you get a little bit older, you start to worry about your health a bit more, rightfully or wrongly. And it's just not a nice feeling. But mostly I'd say I was just getting really, really bored with it. I think I've already mentioned how I lived in Japan for almost 2 decades. And when I did finally return to New Zealand, I was really, really sort of hyper aware of the booze culture here. And it's something I hadn't really considered, because when I left New Zealand, I was in my early 20s. And at that stage in your life, going out drinking on weekends with your friends is the highlight of your week, really. But fast forward about almost 20 years later, and it just didn't feel the same. After coming back here to New Zealand, I would sometimes question events I would go to. I started to question, if you took away the alcohol from this event, what do you actually do? Is it fun? Now, I'm just talking about my experiences here. Maybe you genuinely enjoy going out drinking and you find that really fun. That's great, good for you. For me though, I just wasn't enjoying that. And I don't think that's just limited to here in New Zealand. There's similar booze culture across the West, if you know what I mean, where events just seem to center on drinking alcohol. And I will say, even living in a completely different culture like Japan, there's booze culture there that I wasn't really enjoying either. Very, very different though. I would say in Japan, the booze culture, which is strong, it's nowhere near as aggressive. And I see in places like New Zealand, I spent time in the UK, I've been to the USA, those sorts of places. When people get drunk, they tend to get a bit aggressive. Whereas in Japan, going out drinking heavily sometimes is seen as it can be a bit of a bonding thing, but also just for letting off steam. But ultimately, I don't think that's very healthy either, because, man, I've seen some things in Japan when it comes to nights out drinking. As I get a little bit older, I just want to use my time a little bit more wisely and ultimately have a bit more control. And we all know that when you drink, you tend to lose control. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm soapboxing. If you enjoy that, great. I'm just talking about my own feelings and experiences here. I've also seen what alcohol does to people, and I've touched on already how it makes people aggressive. Not everybody, but some people. It's not like I have alcoholics in my family or anything, but I've seen a few people I know over the years really have problems with drinking and the way it affects their behavior. And it's not something that gets better as you get older, I don't think. We've all been around that person at a party or a night out who's had a little bit more than everybody else, and they start to get a little bit rowdy, out of control, and it's not good. And I feel like as you get older, it's something that I want to rein in. And also, I just don't want to be around that anymore either. It's a lot of trouble sometimes. Sometimes it can be a little bit dangerous, if you know what I mean. So if I haven't experienced any major benefits, what have the benefits, if any, been at all? They've been pretty subtle. In the 2 and a bit years or so that I've stopped drinking alcohol, I can't say I've experienced any significant weight loss. If anything, my weight's crept slightly up. I haven't slept better. I think my sleep's gotten slightly worse. I think that's just part of aging. But there have been little things that have added up over the years. And when I stop and think about them and add them all up, yeah, it's been worth it. I mean, first of all, hangovers. Not having to worry about hangovers at all is great. I mean, how many times do we tell ourselves after a massive bender, I'm not doing that again, only to do the same thing the next weekend, and on and on and on. Yeah, don't have to deal with that anymore. And then I'd say one of the more significant ones I've noticed that really ties into the whole theme of my journey that I'm documenting on this channel is money. I don't know how much alcohol costs where you are at the moment, but here in New Zealand, I think the cheapest beer at a bar I've seen has been 7 or 8 New Zealand dollars. When I do go out and join people for drinks, I tend to order 0 alcohol beers, and yeah, they aren't cheap either. I think they're in the same price range as regular beers. When I think back to the days when I did drink somewhat regularly, I could easily spend upwards of, I don't know, a couple of $100. Factor in things like taxis or Ubers home, yeah, it gets really, really expensive. Yeah, and if you're doing that regularly, say every week or every other weekend, I'm not surprised when I hear people say they have trouble saving money. And all the factors and reasons as to why to quit drinking alcohol that I've explained in this video, when added up for me, pointed towards, yeah, I'm kind of done with alcohol. And I'd be really, really interested to know if there's anybody else out there like myself who just got kind of bored with drinking, and when you did stop drinking, didn't really notice any massive dramatic effects or benefits, but over time you've just noticed little things that have really helped. The things I've mentioned. Yeah, if you are one of those people, I'd love to hear your story. Maybe drop it in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, one piece of advice I was going to share that I almost forgot. If you are going to quit drinking and still go out with your friends or go to events, for God's sake, pick a sensible alternative drink. I'll give you an example. I went to a friend's barbecue once shortly after I decided to stop drinking and took a 6-pack of Diet Coke, drank the whole thing in a few hours. Next day, I find myself having heart palpitations. And that went on for about 48 hours. I went to the doctor, got hooked up to an ECG, everything. And basically what it came down to was that I forgot how sensitive to caffeine I am. So yeah, live and learn. Don't be like me. Don't drink tons and tons of Diet Coke or a couple of pints of orange juice in an hour or that sort of thing. Be sensible. Yeah. Anyway, that's all.